I was crossing an over-the-road walking bridge when two young children, a boy and a girl, sprang towards me and grabbed my legs. They looked to be about 10 or 12 years old and were dressed in ragged, dirty clothing. I was startled, but soon realized that they wanted money. I wasn't carrying any money, and since I didn't know their language, I couldn't explain this. I tried to pry their arms away. Their 4 arms, though, were more than my 2 hands could manage. I made an effort to walk, but that was impossible, so I looked around, unsure what to do next. It was about this time that a fashionably dressed woman noticed my predicament and stepped over to intervene. She yelled something at the children, and when they continued to hold tightly on to me, she began kicking them with her black shoes. The children unwillingly released me, but not before looking up at me reproachfully. Likely, they thought I was withholding from them a portion of the cash I surely had in my pocket. They left me and walked over to sit down on a bare spot along the path, pain and disappointment on their faces. I resolved to bring some money for them the next time I passed this way. 2 days later, I again entered the walking bridge. This time, the children were positioned behind a pillar, watching the passers-by. Not until then did I remember the money. My pockets were empty. I knew it was likely that I would get pounced on again because I was the vulnerable-looking white American in a crowd of darker-skinned Bangladeshis. I continued walking, and sure enough, they leapt out from their hiding place, hands reaching for my legs. I was ready, though, and I jumped as high as I could. Both children missed my legs and tumbled into the path. I landed and sprinted a short distance away before looking back. There were tears in the boy's eyes, and the girl looked as if she was almost ready to cry. I felt terrible. I had joined the multitudes of people who either ignored these children or were unkind to them. They should have friends and adults who look after them. Instead, they appeared thin and uncared for. I determined to come back the next day, cash in hand. Maybe this would bring them some happiness. Perhaps they would feel more favorably towards me. The next day, I came back carrying some cash and walked the length of the path. They were nowhere to be seen. The day after that, they were also absent, and I didn't see them again for another week or so. When I did see them, though, I was prepared. I had stopped at a nearby market and bought some warm chicken thighs and rice. As I approached the children, they ignored me. I walked over to where they were crouched and handed them the food. They took it and without a word began eating it. I watched them for a little, hoping they would acknowledge my gift. They continued to ignore me, so I began walking away. They didn't even glance in my direction. This wasn't the gratefulness I was expecting. Didn't they appreciate that I had used my own meager wages to foot the expenses here? Wasn't I the one who had stepped out from a swarm of uncaring people to share this food? When my irritation began to diminish, a clear image of myself emerged. Sure, I had given them something, but it was because I wanted them to see me as a caring, thoughtful person of exceptional qualities. When they didn't show the indebtedness I thought I deserved, my effort didn't seem worth it. This surprised me. Did I donate this gift just to boost my own sense of self-worth? Was I actually more concerned about presenting myself as an outstanding individual than I was about their physical well-being? Again, I felt like a terrible human. A good Samaritan? Maybe, but a self-righteous, hypocritical one. Was I really any better than the woman who had kicked them? It was a cruel thing to do, but after all she was only trying to help me, and didn't this make me the responsible one? A few days later, when I again saw the children, they smiled at me and waved as if they were happy to see me. I nearly wept with relief. Maybe they didn't hate me after all. I smiled and waved back, grateful that my self-centered giving wasn't a complete waste of my resources.